Happy New Year's, everyone. My name is Alvin, Master Numerologist, and today I'd like to talk about the number one. The number one is ruled by the sun. The number one is the God energy. The number one gets things started. Without the number one, there's nothing. Without God, there is nothing. God is the originator of all things. All of creation must have a beginning, must have a start. The number one starts everything. The number one is the creator, sustainer, and the number one dissolves everything back into itself. God sits beyond its creation. But when God is ready to create, it must impregnate the goddess energy, the energy of receptivity, and creation is born. I spoke about the role of the goddess in my previous video. The number one energy is the energy of courage. It's a hard energy, but it stands with its back erect. Here's a drawing of the number one. As you can see, it stands firm, back straight. It denotes a self-assurance, very confident. I am. That would be the motto of a number one energy. I can do it. I'm capable of doing. Full of confidence. This is why you would find the number one in positions of authority. The number one are our bosses, our supervisors, our leaders, our commander-in-chiefs, our generals, because they're not afraid to take center stage. The number one also recognizes that a great deal of responsibility lies upon his or her shoulders because the buck stops with the number one. The number one energy is an energy that's directional. It's focused. When the number one places their focus on something, you better believe that that number one is not going to stop until its objective is achieved. The number one is a very nonsense. The number one is a type of energy that's don't play a lot of games. It's a very real type of vibrational energy. It comes a lot from the head. It's very logical. Um, it deals with facts, reason. Not so much reason. It deals with facts, logic. It has a very strong affinity for law and order. The number one energy is about being right, even if he's wrong. He's right. His word is supreme. The number one energy also have a tendency to put people off because the energy is ruled by the sun. Is the number one energy can be very intimidating to a lot of people. Anybody that's ever been to Las Vegas or Phoenix, Arizona in the middle of the summer understand just how intense the sun energy can be. So the one energy put people off, but the one energy could care less about other people because the one energy is so concerned about themselves. You'll hear number one energy talk about how grand he is or how grand she is. And they are grand, but you don't have to tell us that you're grand. We can see that you're grand. But the number one wants that recognition. And if they don't get it, then it'll force it on you. You'll find a lot of leaders as dictators with very strong one energies, very strong one influences. The one energy likes to control, especially when it comes to the two energy, the feminine energy, the goddess energy. The one energy likes to control, tell her what she can and cannot do. The number one energy wants to have control over her reproductive decisions. whether or not she should bring forth life or not bring forth life. The number one energy can be very controlling, and because of that, like I said earlier, a lot of people's turned off by the one. But we need the one energy, because the one energy is the one that's going to lead his or her men into battle. The number one energy is going to be the energy that's going to take charge of a situation where others may stand back. The number one shoots straight in there. The number one makes it happen. So we need the number one. We need the intensity. We need the leadership of the number one vibrational energy. Now, before the turn of the millennium, the number one energy stood in great power. What do I mean by that? Well, in numerology, the number or the letter that starts off the numerological pattern or the name pattern carries the power, carries the force. It's like it's on the front line. Soldiers is on the front line of war are the ones that experience the heat of the battle. Those soldiers that's in the back ranks, they're going to receive the heat of the battle, but not as intense as the number one will. And so during the past millennium, the number one energy led because it was the first number. Back in the 1800s, the one led. 1700s, the one led. 1900s, the one led. You can observe that the one was in power because of the creation that came forth. For example, like a cannon. A cannon is an elongated one energy. One energy represents male energy. A cannon has balls. Male energy has balls. You know, balls to make the tough decisions. Number one energy erected tall buildings, rifles. It goes on and on and on and on, the symbolism of the one vibrational energy. It stood in power. A lot of times the one energy did not wait for diplomatic approaches. It strikes because of the ego. A one energy have a tendency to have a big head, have a big ego. Like I said, it comes from the head. The one energy has to learn to move more down into the heart energy. Have to become a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more caring. But it's going to be very difficult for a one energy because the one energy is so full of itself. But as I said earlier, we do need the one. We need someone that's going to stand out front. Because a lot of ones bring about changes. They also take a lot of whippings. When a one energy brings forth a vision, a lot of times the group energy may be opposed to that vision. And they may bring a lot of disruptive vibrations to the one. And the one energy has to be strong to weather the storm. So we need the one because of its strong will. It's I will, I am, I can. It's not a doubtful type of vibrational energy. And what I'm going to show in future videos, how that one vibrational energy interacts with the other numbers in the challenging aspects or in the positive aspects. But right now, the one energy is having to take a back seat. And it's difficult for a one energy to sit down. But this is what's going to happen. This is what's happening now, because at the turn of the millennium, we have changed guards. The one energy is no longer in power. Even though it thinks it's still in power, there's a beautiful lady that is taking its place. It's the goddess energy, the two energy, and I spoke about the goddess energy in my previous video. And so the one energy is going to have a hard time making a transition. The one energy is not going to want to take leadership from the female energy, from the feminine goddess vibrational energy. So the one energy is going to stand in opposition to her as much as he can. But it's not his time anymore. It's her time. And so therefore you're going to see females around the world stand up, erect their backbone, and execute their will. The 2 energy is a very feminine energy, a very soft energy, a very gentle energy, a very compassionate energy. Number 2 energy is going to be willing to negotiate. It's going to come from more of the heart chakra as opposed to the mind. So it's going to be a very interesting next 1,000 years to witness how the goddess energy is going to rule. The goddess energy also rules the psychic powers, and I spoke about this once again on my previous video. Now, my next video, I'm going to deal with a hidden vibration. There's 2 or 3 hidden vibrations in the universal year 2014. You don't really see the energy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reveal what you don't see. So that's going to be my next video. So until then, everybody have a happy new year. Stay safe and peace.